Bitcoin is looking like it's coming very close to breaking 100K, a huge psychological mark for the entire space. And what does it mean? It brings a whole lot of new eyes into the cryptocurrency sector and brings a lot more interest onto Bitcoin, the asset specifically. But where is the price of Bitcoin going next? Well, stick around because in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the shorter and longer term outlook for Bitcoin and actually basing it on a lot of technical and analytical data that is objective, as well as looking at some expert opinions on Bitcoin specifically. At the end as well, I'm also going to be giving you my own personal take on where I think the price could be going. For people and institutions alike that have been investing in Bitcoin from its inception by Satoshi Nakamoto, the pseudonymous creator who no one really objectively actually knows who it is. That's kind of something that gives Bitcoin its uniqueness. It has managed to do 100% roughly on average year on year from 2009 to present. That is quite exceptional when you consider that the S&P 500 on a good year does around 10 to 15%. For you newbies out there as well, you can kind of think about Bitcoin as the digital form of gold. Yes, it's a lot more volatile, but a lot of people would argue that it does have a lot more real world utility versus gold. You think about physical gold, you can use it to make a bit of jewelry, this, that, and the other, but actually silver is actually used in a lot more things, yet the value is a lot less. Now, Bitcoin, for example, has a lot of perks. It's non-custodial, so you don't need to hold it in a bank, meaning that you do have 100% control of your funds. And it also is a store of value that you can essentially send to any other person, no matter what geographic region they exist in, with very low fees on the Bitcoin blockchain and in a matter of seconds in some cases too. Now, before we get into the hulk of the video, folks, make sure that you always do your own research before investing in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, because I'm not a financial advisor and these videos are never financial advice. Let's get into it. Alright guys, so let's take a look at the current Bitcoin price today, sitting at $98,653.59 US dollars according to CoinGecko. It's also really important to note that there's only ever going to be 21 million Bitcoin, creating that scarcity over time. So only 21 million Bitcoin and so many people in the world that want to come in and buy it, retail and institutions alike. When you do have that increased demand, that theoretically is going to cause an increase in the price. And it's also quite interesting to note that if you had bought Bitcoin 1 year ago, you would currently be up 168.7%. And if you bought 30 days ago, you'd currently be up 48.5% on your investment. Now, this Bitcoin rainbow price chart is a really good historical indicator of what the Bitcoin price is going to do based off what it has done in the past. Now, if we go back and actually take a look as far as 8th of the 12th, 2013, we had a Bitcoin price of 804, and that actually lines up with the extreme red zone, which either indicates sell, seriously sell, or maximum bubble territory, indicating a potential reversal. Then we actually went ahead and hit a bottom of around $314 on 6th of the 12th, 2015. The blue zone indicating basically a fire sale followed by buy, and as it gets more green and into yellow, accumulate, still cheap, and hodl. So at the moment, guys, what does the actual Bitcoin rainbow price chart say? Well, at around 100,000 US dollars, it is saying for us to basically still buy and accumulate, and it's still very, very cheap for some time to come. Now, let's talk about some bullish fundamentals as to why Bitcoin could possibly still continue to break past 100K going into 2025. So BlackRock's Bitcoin ETF options soar to 1.9 billion on debut, fueling Bitcoin surge to new all-time highs. For those of you that don't understand, the BlackRock Bitcoin ETF options is simply a way for institutional investors to actually bet on the price of Bitcoin going forward, assuming that a lot of them have said that Bitcoin's likely to actually soar past 100K, maybe to 130, maybe to 150. This is going to have a positive impact on the market sentiment for BTC. Also, another bit of bullish fundamental news, you've got to take into account the actual Fed rate cuts that did happen not that long ago. So this article from November 7th of this year, when Bitcoin was just 76K, guys, Bitcoin briefly trades above 76K again ahead of Fed rate cut. Now, what does the Fed rate cut mean, simply put? It simply means that it costs less money to borrow money from lenders, such as a bank. So a normal person like myself can go to a bank, borrow some money, pay less interest on it over time, and actually put that money into Bitcoin. You could also buy a new house, buy groceries, whatever, but essentially you've borrowed that money. It's cheaper to pay it back. There's more liquidity in the market, which theoretically increases the price of assets like Bitcoin. Now, some of you might have heard of Michael Saylor. He is an industry leader and professional. He has 11.2 billion US dollars under management, and he is the CEO of MicroStrategy, and he endorses Bitcoin and has done very heavily for a very, very long time. Now, Michael Saylor actually predicts that the price of BTC is very unlikely in the short term to dip under 60,000 US dollars, and he actually predicts that in the coming years, Bitcoin could very realistically top a price of 1 million plus US dollars per coin. Now, this one is a really important tweet here from Vivek on X. Now, CoinGlass, this chart here, folks, Bitcoin balance on exchanges just hit an all-time low, supply shock incoming. If we actually have a look at this yellow line here, guys, that is the BTC price. And see how it correlates with the balance on exchanges, guys. That's actually going down, okay? That green line there. So what does it mean? Places like Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, these are all exchanges. People with Bitcoin don't have their Bitcoin on those exchanges, meaning they can't swap that Bitcoin out, take profits in cash, USD, transfer back to their bank. Instead, they're moving it off exchanges to their non-custodial wallets like a ledger, meaning they can't trade it. Then when you've got increased demand, which is increasing over time, that's going to increase the price of Bitcoin. A lot of the news has been primarily bullish when it does come to Bitcoin on the fundamental level, but there is something on the slightly bearish side that I would like to point out before I give my own personal prediction. This is only very recent. Russia fired new ballistic missile at Ukraine. Now, we know when this kind of thing happens, it happened back not that long ago, just a few years when the actual Ukraine war started with Russia. The price of Bitcoin did actually fall around 8%. Now, I don't think that this is going to have as much impact because I think that retail institutional investors into Bitcoin are kind of used to this. And instead of trying to time the market, maybe sell, ride out this news and buy back in, I think a lot of people are going to hold this time around. It is something that is worth considering. So this could possibly knock the price down from around 100K down to 95 with this short-term bearish news, but I don't think it will go much lower than that. Alrighty guys, so all things considered, I am pretty bullish on the short and long term for BTC. The price now, as you can see, is around 98, 99K. Now, I think that with that Russia news, we could possibly see worst case a knockdown to the 95K zone, but I think everything that's going on now, look, it just seems pretty hard to bet against Bitcoin right now. You've got institutions jumping in, experts saying what they think. You know, you're talking about the amount of Bitcoin on exchanges, okay? The options ETF just opening up, the Bitcoin rainbow chart showing that we are in the accumulate still cheap in the buy zone. It really would be, in my opinion, quite silly to bet against it. But what do you guys think? Okay, let me know in the comment section about what you think about this video. Where do you personally see the price of Bitcoin going? If you enjoyed this kind of content, make sure you do like it. Where do I think the price of Bitcoin is going? Look, I think in the short term, I did mention, could see a low of 95K, possibly break up to that 100, 105, 110K zone. But I think going into 2025, a year ahead, guys, we could see BTC ranging from around 130,000 US dollars to 160,000 US dollars, somewhere in that zone before a potential retracement, maybe between 80 to 100K, before we do jet off to maybe upwards of 500K US dollars for one BTC. That could be in the next kind of 3 to 5 years. So guys, if you like this kind of content, yeah, smash the likes, comment, hit the notification, subscribe, and we'll catch you in the next video. Cheers for watching.